Hello there, welcome to today's lesson. Sorry about that. We will be looking at melody writing 2. We already started with melody writing in the previous term where we looked at the basic elements of a good melody. Some basic rules to guide us as beginner composers to create memorable melodies. So, before we start with today's activity, let's recap some of the rules and also remind ourselves of the elements that come together to create melody, or what most people call tune. Okay, so we talked about some of the elements, that is what goes into writing a melody. The first thing that comes into mind is the motive, which is also known as the rhythm, a short rhythmic pattern. Yes, I guess you all remember. The motive carries the whole melodic idea. That is how your music is going to go. So we have that down. We also looked at the pitch, that is the sound, how your melody is going to sound, how high it's going to be, how low it's going to be. When all put together will give you a lovely sound. And also we looked at also finding an appropriate key so that when playing back your melody doesn't sound too high, or whoever is going to sing or play will be able to play it appropriately. Okay, so we also looked at some of the rules. We said always end your first part or phrase of your melody on either the supertonic, dominant, or leading note. So the first part of your melody, which is also known as the phrase, as we learned earlier in a previous term, a melody has two parts, which is basically divided into two. So we have the first phrase and the second phrase. So the first phrase, after putting together all your rhythms and sounds, you make sure you end on the supertonic, which is the second note of the key you're writing in. So an example, if you are in C major, C is your tonic, D is your supertonic. So the second note, which is the supertonic, also you can end on the dominant, which is the fifth note of the scale. So in the C major, what do you think the dominant would be? C, D, E, F, G. Yes. And also you can end on the leading note. That is for the first phrase. The leading note is the seventh degree. Also, the next rule, always end your second phrase or second part of your melody on the tonic. As I explained earlier, the tonic is the first note of the scale. Okay, so we continue. The third rule we can also look at is to use more steps and a few skips. As we explained earlier, steps are just close movement, one movement to the closest note. So from one note you move to the next note and move to the next note without any jump. And a few skips. So a skip, basically you move over a note to the next note. So also another rule we looked at is use at most one leap in a phrase in order not to make your melody feel jumpy. So a leap is a jump, a big jump. From one note you move 2 or 3 notes away, which is a leap. You don't need that in your melody that much. It makes it feel jumpy and not settling. Okay, these are some of the few rules we looked at, and if used appropriately will give you a good melody. So let's look at today's lesson. Today we are going to be creating a 16-bar melody, which is more than what we've been doing in class. We've been doing an 8-bar melody. Today we're going to be looking at 16 to 36, creating a 16 to 36 bar melody, which is so much but I think we will break it down and get it done easily. So quickly, I'm going to get to my manuscript here. I'm going to be using my manuscript here as you'll be doing yours there. So first of all, let's give our melody a title. As we said in class, it is always good to give it a fun title, not to waste too much time on the title though. So I'm going to name my melody 3 Little Birds. Sorry, yes. So that is it. So written by blah blah blah. Right. So you have that down. Okay. So the next thing we're supposed to do, as we're supposed to get our motive clear. So excuse me. We're supposed to get our motive. Oh, what is going on? Okay, so what is going on? Okay, so we're going to start. I'm going to create a motive. So since we're writing a 16 bar melody, right, we're going to, for me, what I'm going to do, I'm going to first of all break it into my first phrase and second phrase, meaning I'm going to get an 8 bar each in each phrase, right? So my first phrase will be an 8 bar, my next phrase will be another 8 bar, but I'm going to write a motive for just 4 bars, so I just duplicate. So this will be my motive. I'm going to be working in the time signature of 4/4. So yes, so I have my motive. This is the motive I'm going to be using throughout my music. Alright, so we have that down. Good. Since I have my motive here, I am now going to start writing my music. I'm going to start adding pitches to the motive I've created here. So let me quickly state this here. So my motive. Sometimes it's just you just have to do it somewhere to remind you, because you usually forget how you want your music to go. That is why it is always best to state it down, so you can always refer to this and be reminded of how you want your music to go. Alright, so quickly we start. I'm going to start on A note. Okay, so in the key of C major, I want to start on E. So I'm going to put my minim on E. So I want to continue on the same. Then I move a step down, and I want to use my leap now. So I use my leap here, right? Yeah. So I continue, step. I want to remain on the same line. That is what I want. I step down again. I want to, yes, that is what I want. No, I'm going to the next 4 bars of my first phrase. I still repeat the same motive. So I still go, when I want this, I move a step up, maybe step down, then I want to skip this time around. A step, okay, so another step. Let me just change. Yes, so as you can see, my first phrase is done, and look at the endings here. What do you see? This is my first phrase. After my first 4 bars, I continued And which note did I end on? I decided to end on the dominant, right? The dominant, because the rule says end a first phrase on the dominant or supertonic or leading note. So I chose the dominant here. So I'm going to leave that here to remind you. Okay, so we continue with the next set of the 8-bar melody. That's the second phrase. Alright, so I'm going to continue. Probably I want to repeat the beginning, the first 4 bars, and maybe change it up a little bit, if that is what you want. If not, you can do a totally different thing. So I'm going to repeat just this part. So I'm going to leap again in the second phrase. That's where I want to use my leap now. So step, step. I want to remain the same. Then, and one thing about the second phrase, as you can see, the second phrase has been divided into 2. I can end on any note I want. And one thing you should take note is, at that point, the rules doesn't work in that line. You can do anything you want in just that line, that first part of the second phrase. So you can end anywhere. And you note that when you get into the end, you have to end on the tonic. So this part gives you the freedom to end anywhere. I want to still end on the supertonic. Yes, I can decide to end on probably maybe the tonic if I want, or the subdominant. Yes, and I continue the last phrase, reminding myself I have to, by all means, end on the tonic. So not to throw my notes just anywhere. I have to still move in steps so I can get to the tonic anyhow. By all means, I have to be moving in steps, so it will land me on the tonic and not just land me anywhere where I have to jump or use a leap to get to the tonic. Okay, so I can change things up in the last bar since it's my last. So I can do skip, step, skip, step, step down, probably skip down, step, and maybe skip, step, step, and I can end on my tonic here. So, oh, sorry, let me change that note to a minimum. Yeah, so as you can see, I built my way up to the tonic. So as I could have decided to go down, but I skipped in order to help me build my way to the tonic up, or I can still build my way to the tonic down if I want. So let's use, let me see, that is down to and tonic, which still gets me to the tonic. I use the skip here instead of a leap, which is good because the leaps, as I said earlier, makes your music feel jumpy. And you are done with a beautiful melody. That is that. So let me quickly just to differentiate. You are done with a beautiful melody, and if luckily for me, I can play back. But when you are done, you submit your work you've done. I can play it back and send it to you, and I will be sending you the software for this very soon, so you can also start practicing before we get to use it in class. So I'm going to quickly play this back. Let's see how it's going to sound. So it's first playing the motif for us. Alright, so get ready. We are going to listen to the melody now. That's the leap, steps. Yes, you see how it's flowing. as you heard, I changed the motif a little bit in the last 4 bars, so it gives it a different feel. And I changed the motif at the last 4 bars, which gives me the liberty to, so that I can have some form of variation. That is one thing the second phrase always presents. So you can do a little change to it, that is in terms of the rhythm, to give you a different feel if you want. So now, just like that, I've created a 16 bar or measure melody, and there you have it. So the same idea we can use in creating a much longer melody. The same idea we can use in creating a much longer melody, right? So you can, as I did earlier, you can break it down into smaller bits. So 16, first division is what? 8, 8. The first phrase is 8, the next phrase is 8. So what I did, I just had a 4 bar motif here, and I used that to build it bit by bit. So first 4 bars, I repeated the rhythm, the motif here, but with different pitches, don't forget, and made sure I ended on the dominant here, right? And as you can see, I ended on my tonic here, and I have applied my rules beautifully, and I have a lovely melody. Alright, so what you're going to do, you are going to write a melody of your own using the same basic rules. I don't want to complicate things. These simple basic rules are all you have to use to write a simple melody for yourself. Eventually we'll be discovering some other rules which makes your melody more interesting and complicated, but right now we're going to have just simple rules to guide us to have a lovely and smooth melody. So this is 3 little pigs, birds for you, sorry. And that is that. So try your hands on it. You can, there's this, we have, sometimes you can't have exactly 16 melodies. It's called an irregular melody. Probably the first half is 8, the second part is 7, 6, or even 9. Yes, we do have that. Those are exceptions. But right now, we want to have a 16 bar melody. After this, then we'll graduate to writing a 24 bar melody, a much longer melody where you can actually set words to create a complete song. So this is just one aspect of it. Any instrument can play this, provided it's in 8 range, and later you can set words to this to create a song of your choice. Okay, so thank you for today, and hopefully get some feedback from you, and we'll continue in our next session. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.